There's a couple games that we cover on this channel that you guys, really come to bat for. And one of those is Star Wars KOTOR, the remake. Every time we do a video about it, you guys just go absolutely bananas in the comment section. Welcome to the channel, everybody. Jimmy, your chaos. And yes, I read every single comment on every single video. So if you want to go post the, oh, I bet you don't read this, well, you'll get proved wrong every single time. And I heard you guys loud and clear. This is an update video to the video we did about a month ago. That video absolutely blew up, and you guys were very opinionated in the comments. It was split right down the middle on that combat system. Some of you desperately wanted the classic turn-based style preserved. I get it. It's legacy. But a lot of you are on board with modernizing it with a more action-oriented live combat system. I get it. Like I said, read every single comment, and I see the purists who love the strategic pause and play. But I also see the modern gamers who crave real-time lightsaber action, so keep letting me know which way you prefer. Today, we're going to dive deeper into that debate, but we're also going to cover every latest leak, rumor, and confirmation on the Star Wars KOTOR remake. It is actually happening. It's actually pretty exciting, and we could be getting a surprise trailer or a very, very major update dropping before this year is over. So whether it's true or just hopeful speculation, we are going to cover everything on this video. So let's set the stage for everything that we know for sure. The confirmed news, the credible leaks, the rumors, the reputable sources, all that good stuff. First off, we have to start off with good news. Despite a long silence and many scares, the Knights of the Old Republic remake is not dead by any means. In fact, the studio Saber Interactive, who took over the project after Aspire's troubled start, they insist the game is very much alive and well. Saber CEO Matthew Karch finally spoke up in April of 2024, a little over a year ago, and he confirmed the game is alive and well, saying it's clear and obvious that we're working on this. We're dedicated to making sure we exceed consumer expectations. This was huge. This is confirmation for all the fans, because for a while, we had no official updates. We didn't know if this game was ever going to actually see the light of day. Karch even revealed that when Saber split off from the Embattled Embracer group, they took the KOTOR project with them. I can just picture them, if you picture like it in a case or a briefcase, I know that's not how it works, but they like grab it and they take off with it and they sneak it out. It's just the vibe I get. Yes, Saber is essentially an independent studio now after a management buyout in late 2024, backed by a hefty private investment of around $250 million. Guess what? In their investor materials, Saber explicitly listed the KOTOR remake is one of the upcoming titles that they are working on, alongside projects like a new Quiet Place game and a Jurassic Park title. So anyone worried that the project has vanished or is dead, you can breathe easy. It's not. They secured funding, they've confirmed it's happening. Now we just have to put all the pieces to the puzzle together and see when we're actually going to get it. Now, Saber's team has been pretty tight-lipped, but they do drop hints. In March of this year, Saber's chief creative officer, Tim Willits, reassured fans on Twitter that everything we've talked about is still in development. Now, he didn't name KOTOR explicitly in that tweet, but considering KOTOR Remake has been publicly announced, it's safe to include it in the everything bundle that's still being worked on. In other words, KOTOR is not vaporware. It's not a dead project. The devs know we're anxious, but they're basically saying, be patient, it's happening, hang in there with us. Saber appears to me to be committed to getting this done, even after all the chaos with the previous developer and the parent company. They even kept KOTOR on their official project roster through that corporate shakeup, which that's a good sign of life. Now, on the flip side, it's not all positive. One major player has gone really, really quiet about the remake. That's Sony. Now remember, Sony was heavily involved at the very beginning. The remake was originally announced on the 2021 PlayStation Showcase as a timed PS5 console exclusive. Sony helped hype it up. We all assumed they were co-funding or publishing it for PlayStation, but they went radio silent. In fact, the original reveal trailer featuring Darth Revan, which gave everyone those chills, it was quietly delisted from Sony's official YouTube channel about a year ago. No press release, no follow-up marketing, nothing. Sony basically ghosted the KOTOR remake. They did set off a lot of alarm bells in the community. Got people asking, has Sony actually lost faith in the project? Is the PS5 exclusivity dead in the water? Well, according to reputable insiders, it might be. Jeff Grubb, who's known for accurate industry scoops, reported that Sony has lost interest in the KOTOR remake. In fact, Grubb said his understanding is Sony wants nothing to do with it, and he even thought the project was dead for that reason. That's a stark statement from a trusted insider. If Sony really backed out, It could mean a couple things. Perhaps the timed exclusive deal is off, and the remake will launch on multi-platform titles instead of just being tied to the PS5, which I think would be perfect. Or more grimly, maybe Sony isn't going to help with publishing and marketing at all, leaving Saber on their own. Now, we don't have official confirmation from Sony or Lucasfilm on it, but the signs aren't great there. Sony has been completely quiet about KOTOR in all aspects in all their recent showcases. Even the trailer takedown was explained by Sony as merely an expired music license. Really? Now, does that mean KOTOR's remake might skip the PS5 entirely? It's possible. The team at Space.com noted that since development changed hands, it's unclear if Sony exclusivity deals still hold water. Their guess, and I tend to agree with it, is that the remake could still be a timed exclusive on PlayStation, but it could possibly be for the PS6 by the time it's ready. Yes, I said the PS6. Sony's already focusing resources on developing the next-gen console, and let's be real. With the way things are going, we might see KOTOR's release at the end of the PS5's life cycle or even later. One Game Rant report even speculated in the remake it might slip to the next-gen hardware if it takes that long. Personally, I wouldn't be shocked at all if this becomes a cross-generation title, or if PlayStation's timed exclusivity window gets shorter or even scrapped, given their waning involvement in it. Now, for now, it's rumor. Officially, the remake was announced for PS5 and PC. No other platforms even mentioned, but as you guys know, that could change. Now, let's talk about the leaks and rumors circulating about the remake and how it might play. This is where things get good, and a little bit controversial. According to multiple reports from industry insiders and credible gaming outlets, the remake's gameplay is significantly overhauled, especially the combat system. Now, early word way back in 2022 was that the developers, they didn't just want to reuse the old turn-based dice roll combat from the 2000 original. Instead, they've been looking at more modern action RPG influences. In fact, one leak via the Sixth Axis claimed the team was drawing inspirations from games like God of War 2018. Yeah. Now, this more dynamic lightsaber dual type and real-time action, that would be wild. And it would be a stark contrast from the semi-turn-based stuff that we got in the original KOTOR. I mean, the Sixth Access source, which came from a YouTuber with a decent track record on Star Wars, suggested the remake would reinvent its combat gameplay, possibly trying to find a sweet spot akin to what Final Fantasy's remake achieved. Blend the action with the strategic elements. Now, more recently, Space.com's resident Star Wars reporter echoed these whispers, saying, "Word on the street is that Aspire, later Saber, rebuilt the entire combat system, and they landed much closer to a modern action-oriented RPG than the old D&D style system. So essentially, except KOTOR Remake to feel less like a turn-based Knights of the Old Republic and more like a Jedi Fallen Order / Jedi Survival style game in terms of combat responsiveness." Now, some rumors even go further and claim it's not purely hack and slash. It might be an evolved real-time with a pause system. What does that mean? Well, potentially you'll be fighting in the real time, no rigid rounds, but you could still pause the action to issue commands to your party or select special abilities, kind of like the Dragon Age, I guess, maybe? Now, that's really speculative, but that would make sense as a way to try to honor the strategic roots, but also deliver some flashy action. Now, in addition to the combat, other gameplay elements are rumored to get a facelift. We might actually get a fully voiced player protagonist this time. Male and female Revan would have voice actors instead of the mute protagonists of the original. Then there's also talk of implementing a Mass Effect-style dialogue wheel for conversations, which, if true, that truly would modernize the feel of interacting with NPCs in this game. One leak even claimed that many beloved characters are being recast with new voice actors, partly because it's been 20 years, and also to support the protagonist now being voiced. It's interesting, it is, and there's another rumor about new content being put in, not to change the core story, but to expand on it. Fans have speculated and insiders hinted we might see more of Revan's backstory fleshed out, possibly new flashback scenes showing, say, the Mandalorian Wars or Revan's time as a Sith Lord to give extra context to the narrative. There's even whispers about romance options or improvements to the existing ones. I mean, in the original KOTOR, romance was limited. Basically, Karth for female PCs and the other way around for males. The remake could introduce additional dialogues and scenarios to deepen those relationships. Guys, let me know what you think about that. The reassuring thing is that all these sources indicate that the core story and the beloved characters will remain intact. Saber and Lucasfilm know they have a classic on their hands, and they have promised to maintain the integrity of the story. So there you go. I mean, you tell me. The combat style controversy, ever since the word got out that the remake might ditch the traditional real-time with pause, People have just been going back and forth, and I know you guys are going to do that in the comment section. So it's a tough one here. I get both sides of this, but if they can come up with some evolution that honors the turn-based but also gives us modern live combat, I'm really on board with that. But from what I've heard, rest assured it will still be KOTOR. Revan is still Revan, the Jedi Civil War backdrop is unchanged, and you still face the same moral choices and the light side and the dark side branching outcomes as before. In fact, Saber has every reason to keep all those multiple paths because that replay value is there. They're not about to remove the ability to choose your alignment or make story choices. If anything, I think they're going to add a couple more decision points or alternate ways to solve quests just to surprise the veterans. But the core storyline, I mean, from Terrace to the Starforge should be expected to stay intact. Even the canon status doesn't seem to be an issue. So there you go, my friends. When will we actually see this game? Well, that's the million-dollar, billion-dollar question that we ask every time. We're not going to see it in 12 months. We're probably not going to see it in 2026. I think it's going to slip to 2027. I really do. And I think if the rumors are true, we could be getting a PS6 sometime in 2027. I think it makes perfect sense. I don't think Sony's gone. I don't. I think they're going to be on board when it all ends up going down because they know this thing is going to be absolutely huge. You guys let me know what you think. Give me your best thoughts. I will obviously keep you guys updated if anything new breaks, and I'll see you soon.